Today's Soccer Mom Sunday is brought to you by our new friends of the show, Ellis Dental, my own family's personal dentist. They are so easy to work with, and you get your teeth cleaned while you also get a massage with their great massage chairs. Today, we were joined by Ashley Sullivan and her daughter, Georgia, to talk rugby, body positivity, and meeting her idol, US Olympian Ilona Maher. Enjoy. Good morning, Soccer Mom Sunday.
Morning.
This is a good vibe for a Sunday morning, for sure. Especially kids are back in school.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what week this airs, they're back in school.
Yeah, it's almost like Christmas in August.
except for them and for teachers. My teacher friends are like,
Yeah, well, like my kids, I don't know, really, even the past few years, they're ready to go back.
More than they would like to admit.
Yeah, that's all their buddies, and they kind of get sick of us telling them to figure it out.
Yeah, in the summer, the nights, which are a disaster in my house, I did not do a good job in getting them back onto a quote schedule. So they're just going to have to get through it this week and be tired. They should hopefully go to bed soundly, which would be awesome. Yeah,
so on the date of this recording was the first day for our kids in Webster.
Same for Kirkwood.
Yeah, and second they were out the door. I had a little beverage. It was like 8:47.
George and I went a couple of years ago went to what's that breakfast place? The Shack.
Oh yeah,
we had breakfast
Lindbergh.
and beverages. Yeah, and then we were like, oh, we have to pick them up later. Who's going to do that? I need a nap.
Yeah, I think Beckett will probably be walking. Max rode his bike. So
there you go.
So it's all good. How have things been for you?
Well, my 13-year-old, so he's close to your youngest, a couple years older, right?
My
He's
youngest
13?
is
10?
10,
Okay.
5th grade.
So he's right between my last two. So my third born decided to, before his soccer practice last night, to get his goalkeeper on, not a goalkeeper, at midfield, and just horsing around with his friends before practice and dove. I still never got an answer on whether or not he, quote, saved it, but he fell wrong on his shoulder, and George was with him in the ER last night, and he missed the first day of school.
There's always that kid.
Not a goalkeeper.
No.
And he just, two things he wanted. First, he wanted to know if he could finish practice, and he was in too much pain. Second, he wanted to know if that injury was worse than his brother breaking his arm several years back, and the answer is also no. That was a complete through-the-bone fracture. So.
Oh, compound?
Yeah.
Didn't break the skin?
Didn't break the skin. But it was one of those where we first got to see somebody on ketamine. That's how they said it. They put him on ketamine.
Have you ever seen one compound?
Not one that's busted through the skin.
Yeah,
I've seen
not on Netflix, like in real life.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. Both times soccer games.
Oh, slide tackles.
Yeah, both times.
There you go.
Coming in from the side.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
sign your kids up for soccer. It's great.
Yeah, that pop you hear.
I saw one from a distance, and it was a girl sliding into second, and the second baseman was not positioned properly, and the sliding leg went into plant leg, and we heard it. That's all I know.
Well, I tell you what, if we had a chiropractor or a orthopedic surgeon as a sponsor on this show.
We should totally do that. I should ask Dr. Anderson on Friday. Are you interested?
Excuse me. We speak to your market.
We've had PT on with Gabby Herrick. So we've had
true.
PT.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of, we could probably do a little bit more on the nutrition side. Coach Guns talked a little bit about that, maybe a more nutrition focused one. But
Celsius.
Injury is
Liquid
definitely.
We need a water sponsor. Liquid Soccer Mom Sunday brought to you by
Liquid Death. Good morning.
Canned water.
Canned water. So that's been our couple of days getting them ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're there. It's clubs all started. Academy started.
Yep.
Schools started. It's funny though. The last few years, especially on the academy side, because of the travel. You always react to the schedule. Everybody's like so hyper focused. I mean, everybody is in general, whether it's CYC, et cetera, because you want to fill out your calendar. You want to know, are we dividing and conquering, or do we get to go as a family to watch Johnny play, or whatever it is. But when it's travel's involved.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny because now instead of it just being like, well, are you going to go? Am I going to go? It's like, okay, who's flying where?
That's exactly what's happened to us in September.
And then the funny part, and those of you that travel often, you'll get this, is now you have the jockeying for the B&B partners, right? It's almost like, you know how in school you pick teams, you know? And it's
I
like,
see what you're saying.
Man, who...
Yeah.
You know, because traveling with because you can't, these are long events. They're 3, 5, 7 day events.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
hotels just don't make sense.
No, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And it's long enough, not too long, but it's long enough to get your own food, maybe get a place that has a kitchen.
Right.
We actually do it in October. We have a weekend where Harper is 8. She's got her first travel tournament. She's super pumped.
I'm going to guess either Memphis, Cincy, Indy,
Cincinnati.
Right.
She goes, where's that? I'm like, oh, it's okay. It'll be fun.
You should just tell her, look, we're going to drive 5 hours to play St. Louis teams in the final.
Yeah, and then Marin has to fly. And I can't remember where she's going, maybe Texas. And it's one of those, like, who makes sense to go on the flying trip in case George has to travel and she can probably fly home on her own, you know, and it makes more sense for me to do Cincy. So I'll be heading there again.
There's like, I think of youth sports in general and soccer in particular, obviously, given this show. There we go. We have our guest.
Hello.
Hi. I like this. We pre-talk and then our guest jumps in.
We just burn the time. We're ready to roll.
So we'll stop talking about Cincinnati and soccer travel.
Nobody wants to hear that stuff.
Okay. So it's time to officially welcome in Ashley. Ashley, how do you say your maiden name? Is it McCrea? McCrea
yes.
Sullivan and Georgia Sullivan, your daughter. Seeing you guys for the first time in person, a connection that came through previous Soccer Mom Sunday guest and Pilates torture instructor, Jen Brokaw. She's my Pilates instructor. Did she ever make you do Pilates, Ashley?
Oh, no, she did not. Thank goodness.
She ever yell at you to scoop? You should ask her what that is while she's being super sweet. So the connection comes because I know Jen and our sons play soccer together. And Jen's been on the podcast and she did a Facebook post. So there's a Facebook connection sharing your story and then gave me the rundown. You and her, Ashley, are linked through the Naval Academy rugby, yes?
Yes. Yeah. We played, I think only 1 year together. I think I was a senior when she was a freshman, or a senior when she was a sophomore, but I think she was a freshman when I was a senior.
So that sports linkage always comes through. And then Georgia, hello. It's nice to meet you. You're 9, right?
I'm 11 now.
You're 11 now. Okay, I thought you were 9. Were you
Is that 9 in cat years?
Yeah.
Making the adjustment.
I thought first, definitely want to, I'm going to tease everybody, this is teasing. We're going to talk about the Ilona Maher story because that is awesome. But let's get a little bit of background on both of you. So I know, Mom, you're an athlete. Rugby is in your family, other sports as well. You're a mom that also coaches. Bring me through a little bit your sporting kind of history and then the inevitable trap we all fall in is that's eventually coaching your kids.
Yes. So I played all the sports growing up. In high school, settled on softball and basketball. So pretty much did that all 4 years at an all-girls school in Dallas. And then ended up going to the Naval Academy, as one does, from an all-girls school to an all-boys school. And you kind of have to do a sport there, whether it's intramural or club or varsity sport. So I played basketball maybe for the first summer that I was there, but I wasn't really good enough to play Division I basketball. So I kind of had to find a sport to fit in. And I was like, well, what do I do that, you don't need a lot of experience? I ended up rowing crew for my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
Like anybody can kind of sit there and pull on an oar. And I was in great shape, but it was extremely boring. No offense to all you rowers out there. Man, you guys are tough.
I think Jen's older son rows now.
Does he really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's been doing that. So, but talk about fitness wise and strength.
Oh my God,
100%.
I was in great shape, but yeah, waking up that early and just looking at the back of somebody's head for 2 hours was not my jam. So, sophomore year, we kind of heard rumblings that they were starting a women's rugby team. Now we had a men's rugby team there for 25 years. But a couple older girls said, we're gonna start a women's team. Who's interested? Come to this meeting. Come to practice. And 50 of us showed up that had never seen a rugby ball before, never watched a game. God bless our coach, because he said, if you can get 50 girls to show up, I'll coach the team. And he was like, I've made a huge mistake, So he now, having coached kids, I'm like, I know what he went through. But he was a Marine major that was stationed there teaching electrical engineering, and just decided that he would coach us on the side. So we started the team my sophomore year. From day one, I was like, this is my sport. I have found where I belong. It is awesome. And then senior year, we made it all the way to nationals and came in third in the nation in 3 years, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
So played some club and like combined services in the military as an adult, but then really stopped once I started having kids and stuff. And then got back into it when they started playing as a coach.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jen, I think, told us, JB, the story that she, hurt her knees in soccer and then changed to rugby, and she didn't get hurt as much, which is it's not what you think of. That's not what comes to your head when you think of rugby.
Nope.
And then there are proper ways to do things, and a lot of that protects against injury.
Absolutely. People think, ball without the pads, but it's really not. We do not tackle the same way. You don't have that false sense of security with pads and a helmet, so you're not leading with the head. You don't see the kind of head injuries. Now, it is a contact sport. People do get hurt, but I always say it's more of like a wrestling takedown than it is a football tackle.
Yeah, I got a wrestler. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So we spend a lot of time. U10s is when we start tackling, and we spend the majority of practice teaching them the safe way to go into contact and to tackle.
So in the meantime, it's not like you're busy or anything with 5 kids. 4 play rugby. Is one, and one's a gymnast?
One's a gymnast. My oldest did one
awesome.
season of rugby and was like, this is not for me. So I said, okay, what do you want to try?
There's always one. There's always one in the family. It's like, what are you doing? I don't even like this thing.
The outlier.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to do gymnastics. And I was like, okay, we'll do. And it turns out, like, lo and behold, he's like really good at it, and still, has stuck with it throughout his 4 hours a day, year-round practices. And so he's trying to do that in college. He's a senior now. So
wow. So U.S. Naval Academy mom, if I got this right, wife of a Marine dad, 5 kids who are definitely sportsy, not just rugby, all around. So it's not like you're busy or anything.
Not at all. No.
I'd like to go back to your own college experience and kind of that process, and speaking more in terms of that preparation, the difference between playing high school sports and doing the community thing to elevate to the collegiate level, because a lot of our listeners have kids that either are currently or wish to play their sport at the next level. Talk about some of the things that you realized in making that transition, that you either were woefully underprepared or you were overprepared, or what surprised you the most about playing sports at that high of a level in college.
I mean, it is a huge commitment. As I said, the Naval Academy is a kind of a different animal than a normal college. We're required to do that extra sport athletic, but it is, I mean, you're looking at practicing every day, whether it's on the field, in the gym, nutritional counseling. They even do like meditation work now. So it is a huge, huge commitment when you're looking at also taking a course load and managing the social aspects of college. So you definitely have to want to be there. It can't be something that like your parents want you to do, or, you always grew up doing this, so I'm just going to continue to do it in college. You have to be committed. It still has to be a joy. You have to kind of want to be there.
I mean, I'm glad you kind of alluded to it that way, as far as the difference between the child, the student, the athlete wanting it versus parents wanting it. How did you yourself in your own situation, was it something that was driven from above, or did you have that kind of ingrained in you going into the situation?
I think it was definitely ingrained in me. When I told my mom I was playing rugby, she clutched her pearls and was almost fainted. Oh my, your teeth.
Your teeth. The teeth were the concern, huh?
The teeth were the concern. So it was definitely, it was coming from me. And like I said, once I got on the field and started realizing the culture of rugby, I never looked back. I mean, having done a bunch of different sports, having seen my kids do a bunch of different sports, I truly feel like rugby is different. It is unique. The culture surrounding from the youth all the way through professional, international, like it's just different.
I'm getting a lot of nods I see from Georgia in the background, who I believe Georgia, you play multiple sports. Rugby's not your only sport. You play a lot of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many do you play at this time, or how many have you tried? Can you remember all of them that you've done so far?
Okay, so I know I've done soccer at my old school. I've done basketball throughout like my whole life, but I never like committed to doing basketball really. I did wrestling, rugby, of course, volleyball, and I mean, I wanted to do football a little bit, but then I would rather do rugby than football.
So you fell in love with rugby, and is that your top sport, you think, or?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I think this is such a timely conversation to talk about. So multi-sport kids in a great sport like rugby. I know rugby friends besides Jen, and they are really passionate about the culture of rugby, that it's different from that. Timely podcast because the Olympics are just, it seems like it started and it seems like it was over in a flash. And the reason I come across and I asked you guys to this podcast was because through Old People Facebook, Georgia, my kids think Facebook is only for old people, but that's where I saw it. I saw Jen Brokaw share your mom's post, and I was like, that's a really cool story. I clicked in, I read the People article, and I was just amazed because Ilona Maher, who I knew nothing of her until the Olympics. And frankly, I didn't see anything rugby first. I saw a body positivity content it was just like an Instagram reel. She probably made it on TikTok. I don't have TikTok. And it was a message saying to young female athletes, hey, the Olympics is going to be, if I paraphrase this, a really good time to look at all the different body types, right? From little gymnasts, right, to really tall basketball players, to volleyball players, whoever is competing, track and field, that all these bodies are beautiful and they're all perfectly fit for the sport that they're in. In other words, love your body. And I was like, who is this wonderful, just beautiful human being with the red lipstick? And I literally only started following her because of that message. And then I was like, oh, she can do really cool rugby things. I had no idea. Is that common for people to come across her? Do you know that, not rugby, but on the body positivity side that she shares?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I started following her after the last Olympics because she was making such funny TikToks about.
She is funny
in the Olympic Village.
She's really funny.
So and of course I knew who she was from watching rugby because we've watched the women's and men's teams forever. Wow. But really, what stuck with me was that part of it. I mean, she's hilarious. She's a beast on the field, but
she is.
But her message is so great and so important for, young girls, young boys, old ladies, everybody to hear. And she has, I think it's resonating with people because, I mean, obviously I think when she hit 1 million, like the first week of the Olympics, followers on.
It was ridiculous. I'm one of them.
Like 3.7 or something. I mean, it's obviously, hitting something with people. And it's not just that she's funny and she's a good rugby player. It's message of like, love your body. It's what you got. It's not about how you look. It's about what your body can do for you on the field or on the court or whatever. And I just think, in a world of not so great messages on social media, like her voice is like a beacon.
Yeah. And to know too, she's been very vulnerable on there too. And there's one where she's in tears because of some pretty cruel things that have been said. And that, as strong as she may be, that still gets to you as a human being. And we're grown women, and we also know that our kids are many times exposed to that, and that's a hard message to get. So Georgia, let's talk about if you're game for it, just kind of reading through. You wrote to Ilona Maher. Was that then a couple of years ago?
That was when I was 9.
So that's why I was thinking you were 9. So you wrote to her. Can you share we'll make sure that the link is posted so people can go to the People article, but it was such a nice note that you wrote. Do you mind reading that for people who might be driving in their cars right now, listening to our podcast as they do?
Yeah, I was kind of, keep in mind that I was 9.
Got it.
This is kind of cringy.
Understood. Got it.
So so you're saying you didn't have your Hemingway chops ready, right?
Yeah. Right.
There we go.
Dear Ilona Maher, I'm Georgia Sullivan. I live in Oceanside, California, and play rugby for Thunder Rugby U10s. I love your TikToks. You're so funny. I'm 100 pounds at 9 years old, and when I watch your TikToks on weight, you make me feel great. Oh my gosh. I don't want to read this.
No,
part.
it's the best. Read it.
No, you definitely have to read it. I 100% support what you said. You go for it, girl.
Go.
I mean, I didn't become team captain on my old team by being just 60 pounds. I play many sports such as rugby, basketball, volleyball, and I used to wrestle and play soccer. Wait. I sent a picture to you with my sister wearing our Beast Beauty brand shirts. I told my mom that for my 10th birthday, I want a cameo from you. You really are my favorite celebrity. I feel like you are underrated just like rugby. Without you, I would probably be very anxious about my body and my looks. Thank you. From Georgia Sullivan.
And, to give a little background too, Mom, Ashley, that this came about because first, I don't know if you remember, Georgia, I have my youngest is 8 and she's already starting to comment on her body. And it's not coming from me. Comparisons being at the pool or maybe what she sees. And she's tall for her age. She's bigger for her age. And she's perfect, right? And I've had to give her those messages. And so, Mom, you were inspired to say, hey, look at Georgia, you were concerned about your weight at some point at only 9, huh?
Uh-huh. I was like filling out my information on a field trip slip, and I put down my weight and I felt really bad because I just felt embarrassed of myself that I was bigger for my age and that I was taller for my age.
And that has to just knowing how that feels coming from a daughter, from any kid, that had to just be crushing, Ashley, for you as a mom. And you wonder, how do I even handle this statement?
Yes. And, it's as moms, we know that we can say things a million times. And sometimes that goes in one ear and out the other. I said, well, what's another way I can get through to her? And Ilona immediately came to mind because she is constantly putting out stuff exactly about this. And I said, let's go on Instagram and watch some of her videos and let's just see how you feel after that. And we pulled up the one where she goes to all of her friends, girls on the team, and says, how much do you weigh? And they're like 165, 187, 123. 190, and it's they don't care. They're lifting weights, they're running sprints, and they are so forthcoming about it's just a number, and that's kind of how she ended it. She's like, your weight doesn't define you. It's a number. It's like the BMI video that she I love. And we watched a couple other ones. I think one where she's working out in her sports bra and shorts. And she's like, this is the body of an Olympian. Is it perfect? No, but it does what I need to do. So I don't know. How did you feel after watching those videos?
Well, yeah, like I said in the article, it made it felt like she was talking straight to you, and you could relate to her because she was going through the same things that you were. and it was just at like different levels, but you could still relate to her.
And well, she did talk straight to you because we have it here. I think JB's got
here
it.
We go.
There was a response. Was it the cameo then that she came and did? She or just a response out of the blue?
After I saw that letter that Georgia wrote with like the drawing of the rugby ball and I was like, she's got to see this. Like she's got to know that.
Oh my God.
She is, having this effect on kids. So I took a picture. Georgia didn't know. I took a picture of the letter and I DM'd it to her on Instagram, just out of the blue, like slid into her DMs. And she immediately wrote back and was like, "What's your address? I'm sending her something."
And she like mailed you a box. She mailed you a box of
That's
stuff.
What I said. Do you realize this woman like went to the post office and mailed something? So she got a signed jersey, like an Olympic team shirts, like stickers, all this. And I didn't give it to her right away. I kind of, I knew she said in the letter, like for my birthday, but I kept it as a Christmas present and kind of surprised her.
Oh my gosh.
With the box and the video. We all watched the video together on the TV.
On Christmas Day? Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we play the response audio? Okay. This is just the audio portion.
God.
Yes.
Here we go. Take a listen. Coming right up.
I saw your note and it meant so much to me. And I think I resonate with so much of the things that you said because that's what I went through. I was always a bigger girl. In 6th grade, I remember I was 130 pounds and I was like, I never understood, like, why am I always bigger than everybody? Like, I didn't get that. But now I've realized, like, this is my body and my body is meant to be big and powerful and strong. And I think that's the same with you as well. So really recognize that and appreciate it because I'm going to be honest, Georgia, this is it. This is the body you got and this is the body you got to love. Thank you so much for all the support. It means so much to me to see and to know that, I may be affecting people in a good way. And just from what I saw from you in your note, like keep playing rugby, keep playing sports. Remember that life begins at the end of your comfort zone and that failing is also a lesson. So have a great day. Have a great birthday. I love you and I love you wearing my Beast Beauty Brains shirt. Remember, you are Beast Beauty Brains.
Oh, so JB's gonna have to take over the interview because I'm gonna cry.
No, it's like I've listened probably 100 times. It still makes me cry.
Beast Beauty Brains. But the other thing I love that she said is it's the body you got, so it's the body you gotta love. And Ashley, you and I probably grew up similar time periods where that was not always the messaging, and it was hard to be a female in one way and then to be an athlete in another way, and to know that many times whatever your sport required wasn't necessarily how society required for you to look. Georgia, first of all, was that the best surprise you ever got?
Yes, definitely.
How do they top? They can't top that Christmas, can they?
I mean, to put it in perspective, she also got Taylor Swift tickets, and that was a distant second.
Oh my God, we have to edit that out because Harper's going to hear this and she wants to go to a concert. So like really two of the most, when it comes to female positivity, body positivity, Taylor Swift, Ilona Maher, there's no better gift than that. And Georgia, I know you said it sounds like she's talking to you and then she actually did. How has that changed the way you tend to look at yourself? Your body is unique, just like your siblings, just like your friends. How has that changed the way you see yourself or talk to yourself about how you look?
Well, now instead of being embarrassed about my body, I'm proud of it because I think about the things it can do on the rugby field or on the basketball.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of you on a rugby field. I'm like, that I wouldn't want to get hit by you.
Yeah, it just makes me happy to think like my body can do those things and like I can play those sports, which makes me happy.
Do you ever find, and I don't know that you will yet, but being influential help friends that might be, you guys are all going through the same age periods, right? You're going to, in tween years, teen years are coming. The body is just feels like it's sometimes being pulled apart like a Gumby doll, right? You're going to be changing and growing in different ways. Do you think that this might help you to then impact your friends and teammates in a positive way?
I hope it does because all my friends, like I was just riding my bikes with my friends and then we were like looking each other up as a joke and they looked me up and they were like, wait, why did Georgia actually come up? And then they read the article and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then they started screaming while we were riding our bikes that they were friends with the famous person.
Hey, take it where you can get it. I love that. And it brings me to soccer. Ilona Maher was hilarious, of course, in the Olympics, because the one time she said she made a video about it. The one time she went to the bathroom was when the U.S. scored. She's like, and now nobody's going to score again. They won the game, and I just missed the most epic goal. And she's just a supporter of everything. But at the same time, Lindsey Horan, who is a player for the U.S. women's national team, has in the past, I'm pretty sure it was her, talked about that she had to change the way she fueled her body she's a beast on the field. Like, she is somebody who has great technical ability. She's super strong. Not as tall, I don't think, as Ilona Maher is, and not quite built the same way, but built definitely different than maybe
similar.
some of the taller and maybe thinner players when it comes to that build. And Lindsey had talked about how she had to change the way she fueled her body, or she can't perform she can't have this kind of diet to look this way out in society and then go perform this way on the soccer field. And so that is just something that I think Ilona has, that Lindsey Horan has, and hopefully, Ashley, if you're like me, as mothers who grew up in a different time, we hope that that message just sticks with our kids, sons and daughters who see themselves with body positivity, and sons who also see female bodies for the things that they can do, not just the way that they can look.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It brings to mind like one of her other videos where, I think somebody had commented on, she's always showing videos of her eating treats and having a margarita or whatever. And somebody had commented like, oh, you shouldn't be eating that. Elite athletes don't eat that way. And she was like, thank you. I'm a 2-time Olympian. I am an elite athlete. I do eat this way. And she's like, could I be leaner if I cut out everything? Probably. But would I be as like socially and mentally healthy? I look at food as like, it's a social thing. It's a way I get together with my family and friends. And
it's fuel and it's fun.
Yes.
Food is also enjoyment as well.
Yep.
Yeah, food makes me happy.
That's right. What's your go-to? What's your go-to for fun meal, and what's your go-to, I got to prep for this game meal?
Okay, so definitely my favorite fun food or just overall food is definitely orange chicken and rice.
Oh, yeah.
And then
is it the Trader?
It's Trader Joe's.
Wait a second. We're going to keep up some music. JB really likes your pick. So Trader Joe's orange chicken. Okay, good to know. That's the for fun food. Okay.
And then before games food. Well, usually it's this because our games are in the morning.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, eggs and toasts.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid.
And 9 years old, and even only, you're 2 years older, you've matured a couple of years, still in that kind of tween phase, right? We're not little girls anymore, but we're not teenagers yet. Super impressionable age. I know that I don't know how you felt, Ashley, growing up, necessarily female athletes that were built like me to look at. Have you noticed, and your husband noticed, any changes in your household, either for Georgia or even the other kids, on the impact of Ilona Maher in your household?
Yeah, I think the way we talk about things, we just talk about it differently. It's not, again, it's always, we go back to we keep saying it over and over, but it's about what your body can do, not how you look, and we really make a big point to stress not commenting on other people's bodies.
Yeah.
You unless it's to say you look awesome, you look great, or you're super fast.
Say nothing, right? Otherwise, say nothing.
Don't say anything. And Georgia has 3 older brothers, so that has been a learning curve with them at times. Yeah. But yeah, I think Ilona is helping everybody learn how to talk differently.
And knowing too that I have 2 daughters and 2 sons, and I had brothers, and that my sons are a little bit more static state, of course, in their bodies, right? Doesn't really change a whole lot. But as my 15-year-old daughter is figuring out, our bodies are different on the week.
Yep.
From you mentioned Taylor Swift. My youngest that's who she wants to be, man. She's not sure if she wants to own a team, or can she also be Taylor Swift? I'm like, you can do it all, baby. But even just Taylor Swift to be in a concert, and for some of the remarks, we don't know what week that is of her cycle. We all bloat a little bit. It's just a fact of life, but that we're commenting on that. It's like, we don't need to talk about that at all. Let's just talk about her performance and how badass she is.
Yep. And I think, obviously social media has made that easier for people to just comment without repercussion. Like, you would never say that I hope you would never say that to somebody's face. Oh, you look pregnant or whatever,
I think sometimes it does get said, unfortunately, like, oh
gosh. But yeah, I tell my boys, I'm like, never ask that ever. But we have this anonymity behind, as we're behind these screens and our phones, that people think they can say whatever they want about somebody.
Keyboard warrior. And even too, like sometimes even the you don't mean anything, but when you talk to anybody in public, whether it's a friend, whether it's an acquaintance or whatever, we don't have to comment on physicality at all. It doesn't actually have to be a part of the conversation. There's so many other interesting things to talk about other than you look good or have you lost weight or whatever that might be. So let's also fast forward to the fact that wasn't all with Ilona Maher. She came out to a practice. Did I read that right?
So I think we first met her at so there's big rugby tournament in LA where the men and women, I think it was just men that year, but men's and women's this year. But so they have it's called the HSBC Sevens Circuit. So they play these big tournaments roughly once a month, leading up to the Olympic year or whatever. And they have one in LA, and of course we go because we're crazy fans. And you want to tell it?
Sure. So Maggie and I, my sister,
okay.
We were walking around the stadium just to get like better seats, and then
I love it. Just honesty.
Yeah.
He just he was walking around too, but he wasn't like with us, and he saw Ilona Maher and her sister and like one of their friends, and he was like, oh my gosh, are you Ilona Maher? And then he was like, my sister is Georgia. And she was like, oh my gosh, please bring me to her.
She remembered?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And then she walked down to meet us. And I think I probably said like 2 words because I was so like starstruck. I was like, hi, oh my gosh. And then I just took photos with her. And Maggie, my sister, was the same way. She's a huge fan of Ilona Maher too, and she loves rugby too. And also my brother, Shane, he loves rugby too. And he was really excited about it too.
And so your club is it Thunder Rugby? Is that what it was? Still is?
Still is.
And she comes, so one, you reach out, Mom, and share this letter and this impact that you don't even know if public figures don't always see those DMs, right? Sees it, responds to you, sends you a package, sends a video, sees you later, remembers daughter, wants to do more. Can they make a celebrity any better than that?
No, they can't. I can't, I wasn't even with them when she met her. So her sister is following behind her and actually took the video of them meeting. And then immediately Ilona DM'd it back to me like this, I know you'd want to see this, So she's just awesome. So I think it was a few months later, our club, it's all the way from U8s all the way through high school. So we're co-ed from U8s to U14s. So they play boys and girls together, and then it splits after high school. So we have a girls U15s and a girls U18s team, and then boys high school. And I like to at least once a year just get all the girls together because, if sometimes the way teams fall out, you may be one of 3 or 4 girls on your U10s team. So I like to show them that
usually half of them are girls.
We have a good representation. We do. But we like to get the 6-year-olds all the way through the 18-year-olds and just play touch and kind of come together. And so we were planning that. And yeah, I reached out to just, again, DMing randomly her and some of the other girls on the team, women on the team.
Man.
And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll come to your practice. Like, and, you know, geographically, like, they're in the San Diego area, but it's a kind of a haul to drive up here from all the way down where they train and live. So it was her and then one of the other players. And then Sammy Sullivan was supposed to come, but she got COVID. So she's like, I'm so sorry. I can't.
I didn't know she was supposed to come.
She was, yeah. But again, they were all so like gracious. And of course.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures. You know? It looks so cool. Like, here we go. Here's an Olympian coming to talk to the girls.
Yeah, just hanging out. So they came to practice, kind of had a little Q&A session with all the girls, threw the ball around. Like, took pictures. Like, it's just the best.
Wow. JB, you got to jump in.
Yeah,
what an epic thing, right?
No, I'm hearing the story. I mean, it's an incredible story. But like I'm putting all this in the context of everything that has been occurring recently in women's sports in particular. You know, obviously soccer we're super close to, so the women's team is back. They just won the gold medal.
That's right.
On the professional side, the first women's only stadium in Kansas City. The professional league is growing. You know, the pay equity on the national team level was passed. That's a big deal. But then as I look at these other sports at the same time, the name that jumps out to me is Caitlin Clark. And, you know,
she goes, yay.
Yeah, you know, the effect that, you know, so the women on the soccer side, that was about pay equity, right? And now what you're talking about, you know, what Ilana's doing via rugby and her platform is this body positivity and like, hey, screw you, this is who I am. And that's resonating. But then there in the middle is a Caitlin Clark that's like, it's not about either of those. She is just simply elevating the sport. So mom, for you, who played sports your whole life, who played college sports, but was also growing up at a time in which none of these things were happening for women at the pro and elevated levels, how does it make you feel sitting next to your daughter, having this conversation, knowing that this runway, these doors that are now, they never existed, you know, 15, 20, 25 years ago, now they're here and it's all real?
I mean, it is fantastic. I think people are fine. It took them this long, but you know what? Women's sports are really fun to watch. Like, I think that's what Caitlin Clark is bringing. That's what the rugby's bringing, soccer. I mean, you look at this last Olympics, like, I like watching the girls stuff better than our women's track and field kicked butt. Like, you know, the female wrestler who 20-year-old from California, Amit Ilor, I think, won gold. The weightlifter who won our first gold in 24 years. I mean, it's not only like, well, isn't that great? The girls are doing it. Like, they're fun to watch. Yeah. And I think people are realizing that. And, you know, it's opening, you know, like you said, opening so many doors for these girls coming up. There's pathways. It's really fun.
And they all look different. I think it was maybe one of the sports stations, or maybe it was the Olympics themselves, put out, you know, where they put a bunch of clips together of the female athletes. And it's like, this shot putter looks like this track and field looks like, they're all weightlifters look different. They have to be built different than a gymnast. Oh, you cannot be a gymnast build and probably be in a weightlifting competition, right? Like, these are all beautiful bodies that can do wonderful things. And I'm just thinking and trying to wrap my head around how that it is currently changing this generation, our young ones, and then the generations to come. And I don't even think we can really grasp what that means for what they think they can do and how they view themselves, probably in a much more healthy way than Ashley, you and I grew up viewing our bodies at a different time. Yeah,
I hope so. It's pretty cool.
And I don't know how much we get that on the boys' side. My sons are obviously concerned. JB's got all boys, but they're both, you know, build and those kinds of things are important. Well, I don't know if it's the same kind of conversation.
No, I think it's. I would say from a sports standpoint.
Yeah.
I would say that it is I'm sure it's an issue in certain cases, but I would say that it is a non-issue the vast majority of the time. And what I mean by that is like little boys that play football. If they're linemen, they're supposed to be big. They're supposed to overweight is cool if you are the left tackle for your high school team. Now, mind you, that's probably not a lot of. That's muscle, right? They are just big. Yeah, genetically big kids. And then on the flip side, tennis players or swimmers, right? Swimmers, perfect example. Their body profile, men, big wide shoulders and probably long feet, right? I mean, there's certain things that are just kind of, it's normal or has been more normal within the sporting environment for boys' body types to be accepted as different as part of the norm.
That's a great way of thinking about it. And Ashley, I don't know if you grew up with this, but in my time, I'm a 1973 baby, so I don't know how close we are.
76.
There we go.
Close.
So we're close. You never called a girl big. You didn't like, even to say like, maybe when they were little, you would be, you're such a big girl, but quickly that language left, because if you called a girl big, that meant fat and that meant bad. And it's funny because maybe within the last month, Harper's just grown. She's just shot up once again. I don't know how many more times she's going to shoot up. And I'm just like, you are a big girl. And I meant it in a good way. And she thought nothing of it. But my internal words were like, whoa, what are you saying? And I was like, don't overthink this, Jen. Yeah, like you literally just said a good thing. It's fine. Again,
to my point, I think it's one of those things like kids, even today, I don't think it really matters. Like if Max, my 10-year-old, right? Mm-hmm. He's a big dude, right? He's a big dude for 10 years old. And that terminology is just, it's not out of the norm, right?
For guys, I think particularly.
Yeah, and I think that it's been that way for a much, much longer time.
Yeah, big, huge, I remember like my oldest growing out of shoes before he barely wore them, right?
Or how about like a term, hoss?
Yeah, you're built like a hoss.
You call a kid a hoss.
Like, I love that Ilona uses, what is it, Beast Beauty Brains? Is that it? Did I say it right, Georgia? Beast Beauty Brains? Beast, we would never have called. I mean, maybe by the time I got to college internally, you'd be like, oh my God, that stopper's a beast. She's going to kill us, right? But like that would be the closest. We wouldn't use that in a social setting. I just wonder too, if have you noticed the verbiage of your teams changing, maybe either you, Georgia, or Mom, even after that visit with Ilona and players? The way you talk, maybe?
I like it when my coaches call me a beast. That makes me happy because that means I'm doing my job in rugby.
That means you're trucking people like she does, right? What's that called when you put your arm out like that and it looks like, I mean, if you were on a playground, you would have to go to detention.
Stiff arm
or fend.
Okay. So we stiff arm. All right, I like that. I like that a lot. And
at her level, they can't do it to the face, but they can do it.
Into all the rules. I love that. I love that. And so I'm just curious, he's not here, of course, impact on husband. Did that change anything for him hearing that message to daughter and others?
He loved it for sure. But I think he is a Marine and he serves with women Marines. And for him, I think he looks at it just as, can you get the job done? Male or female, doesn't matter to me. He's been in leadership for a while. He's like, I don't care who you are, if boy or girl, if you can do the job, then you're fine by me. So I think, I don't think he necessarily changed his view too much. And that's, I think what's cool about rugby is that you may think like all rugby players are like big and strong, like lineman types. But really, I mean, if you look at, so sevens is one version, which is what they play in the Olympics, but like real rugby, quote unquote, is 15s. And it's played with 15 people on each side, 2 40-minute halves. So it's a very different game. And you've got everybody from the lineman types to your scrum halves who maybe at a professional level, 5'6" and 170. And then you've got your wingers who are your super fast guys. And then you've got your locks who are 6'8" and whatever. So really any body type could play rugby. You don't have to be super big and strong. You don't have to be super fast. You don't have, like, if you're willing to go out there on the pitch and take a hit and get back up, and you're willing to make the tackle, we got a position for you. And so I think that's one of the things that I really love about the sport is that it truly is for everybody. Rules are the same for men and women. We play same ball, same size field, everything is same equipment, which is a mouth guard. And it's really, it's an equalizer out there. So.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about soccer is often the same way. We've had conversations before, JB, you and I have said sometimes clubs leaning towards bigger players when they're still young and developing. But overall, I played basketball. Also, I played softball and had, in basketball, obviously height is a big thing. If you're really tall, you're probably under the net. And if you're not, you better be a good shooter, or at least a good dribbler too. So I always prided soccer in being one of those sports that, sure, being taller can be handy on a head ball, but other than that, some of those times the ankle biter players, as we would call them, right? The ones that were smaller and quicker and hard to track down. And it sounds like your sport is very similar in that. Thinking so just in playing Ilona Maher's, following her and having her sometimes playing on my phone in the background. And it's been interesting that we're not a rugby family, think it's a cool sport, but don't know as much about it. But all of a sudden I've got a young one. My older daughter is pretty steeped in soccer. That's where she's going to go, but she does love Ilona for her. She's still beautiful. Like she just is this beautiful player who is beautiful inside and out. And the second one is like, so tell me, so what's about this rugby, and do we have this rugby? Yeah, no,
I'm glad you kind of worded it that way, because for Ashley, for you, question: how do you view the potential of kind of the dance of language? And what I mean by that is, the term feminine and athlete, because it's historically, look, a masculine athlete is kind of, they're the same. It flows.
They're the same.
In history, right? It's the same thing. But to be feminine and an athlete, there's been a wall. When you hear that kind of talk, those terms, do you think it's just, is it reset time, or is it just like ignore time? Because what do you do? Do you just ignore the difference, or do you lean into it and challenge it? I think that
all of these women, that we've mentioned in this podcast thus far are doing their part to kind of reset that, honestly. Like Ilona, she wears her red lipstick out on the field, and
she's like Marta in soccer.
I mean,
love it.
And you can see the girls with Shikari with her extensions and her nails, and then she goes out and whoops everybody's butt. You don't have to be one thing. You don't have to be put in a box as a female athlete. You can tackle the crap or stiff arm the crap out of somebody, and then you can go put on your slinky dress and have your shoulders out with your lipstick and go out, So I think it's just not having to be put in a box as an athlete. You can be many things, or as a woman or a person, you can be many different things.
Yeah, I don't know if you felt this way, but I always felt this way as an athlete, that, you would play, right? And we looked one way, and then it was time to take your photos, right? For either college photo or whatever. And you would look a little nicer, and we'd get some crap actually from the men's teams, who did tease us but like, oh, like, where's the makeup and the hair? It's not like, that's not how we looked
you had it in you.
Exactly. Like, clean up well. And we're like, well, you also did just shave, and you don't smell like you normally smell after a practice. But that it just was so, to JB's point, it was really more of a wall, right, between I'm either feminine or I'm an athlete. And it's like, you can actually, and seeing Ilona and the women's soccer team did this as well, where Emma Hayes, their head coach, they just got done winning a game. Like, so we're going to get your nails done tomorrow. I'm bringing somebody to do all your nails. And I'm like, what? This is just crazy. They're like, okay. And then, they're going to go out and play a game and the next day. And this is as much part about, whether by the way, you don't have to like those things. So you don't have to like getting your nails done or having extensions in your hair, coloring your hair, but you can like any of those things and still be who you are and an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo is famous for his pedicures.
There you go. See?
True that.
Liam once felt bad. He's so ticklish. I'm not going to let him have one. But, Georgia, if it comes, so first of all, for you, recommendation, if you like soccer and want to follow more, I think Lindsay Horan is a great fit for you. And Crystal Dunn, she's a mother as well, like these people that have different body types and different skills and abilities. But Lindsay Horan's one of those that has kind of a similar message. Just, I think Ilona's platform is bigger in doing that. Do you guys think that we're just only going to see, I mean, the Olympics is over, but I don't feel like Ilona Maher is going away.
No, I don't at all. And especially
in the best way, I mean, by the way.
In the best way. With the next Olympics being in LA, being so close. I think there's a huge, and I should know her name. I think her last name is Kang. She owns a couple soccer teams and has a nonprofit that
she donated because of Ilona's message to her, right?
To the women's program to help get them the gold in LA. So I think, medals bring money and attention. And I think it's just really going to ramp up. Yes, Michelle Kang.
Michelle Kang.
Going to ramp up from here. I'm seeing stuff, I'm on old people Facebook, and like my friend has a reality TV podcast, and it's like literally the most, the Real Housewives of whatever. And somebody posted,
so
you
LA.
Guys should follow. Yeah, I mean, you guys should follow this woman. She is so awesome. And it was Ilona Maher, like the most crossover thing you could possibly imagine. And I was reading all the comments, and they're saying, yes, I've never watched rugby before. I was glued to it. I couldn't stop watching. And the next post says, now my daughter is asking me where she can play. So I think it is like,
it's like the Taylor Swift effect during the Super Bowl, right? Where you've got normally football it's changing. There's women's professional football, but it's not as readily available as even I can say soccer is, maybe also rugby.
So let me, I got a question for Georgia. Let's have a little fun here, because the Olympics, there was, your mom just mentioned the whole crossover influencer effect, right? So we all know that the equestrian sports had Snoop Dogg. And that the water polo team had Flavor Flav. Who would you like as the crossover representative to partner with female rugby?
Well, they kind of did. They got one. Do you remember? She got somebody to agree to kind of informally be that, and it was Ilona who did it.
Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey. She adopted Jason Kelsey.
But he's not a rapper. We need a rapper.
No, rapper. We need a rapper.
Oh, you want a music?
Yeah, because
person.
Music.
You got Snoop. You got Flavor Flav.
Taylor. We got Taylor.
What about
I mean,
LL?
if you got Kelsey, you got the Swifties. So
True.
That's true. You
LL
can do that.
She might be a little expensive.
What rapper?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean,
or who would
we could go more modern.
Favorite art? Does it have to be a rapper, or are we just talking to artists?
I think it's one of those things like it's working. So let's go with a rapper. LL Cool J, maybe Eminem. Eminem would be a good one, right? You do a little 9 Mile. But those
it's like, who are these?
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of like those are a bunch of old
Georgia.
Old
they're from our generation.
No, she's like throwing out the old one. She's like Jay-Z.
There we go. Yeah.
Dr.
Jay-Z would be
Dre.
great. Well, actually, I think Dre is part of the Olympic Committee. So he was the one. He was big in the closing ceremonies and kind of representing the transfer from Paris to LA, because LA is Dre's town.
Okay.
So yeah, that'd be fun.
That's awesome. And I just want to get your thoughts too. Is there are sometimes that athletes feel like, I'm here to be an athlete. I don't want to be a platform. But then there are others like Ilona, like Lindsay Horan in her sport, and other athletes in various other sports on the men's side too, who start to tackle social issues or something that's close to them. Just your thoughts on that, because obviously she's there to play a sport. She's there to win medals. She's there, but she has chosen through her own, and I haven't gotten these words from her, but I'm guessing through her own personal experience to be brave and speak up about stuff like that. As how, do you see that as a good thing? Do you see that as a hard thing to do, to focus on your sport and kind of have a platform to push forward social issues?
I think it is hard. And I think she even mentioned one time talking with her mental performance coach or something about
that's my language. I love working in that. Yes.
How to balance that extra, because it can get addicted, looking at and scrolling and seeing all the comments and, oh my gosh, I just hit 4 million, whatever. So I think having a balance is crucial, and having somebody that can help you walk through that, because you're right, her primary job is to play rugby for the United States, so this very important but still somewhat secondary job as social media influencer, body positive person. I think she's done a great job at balancing it so far. So we'll see going forward, but I think we need, not everybody has to be like that, but we do need some people to do that.
Georgia, do you think you probably will never forget this, will you?
No.
Change you forever, you think?
Yeah, it'll make me a lot more confident.
So let's go full circle here real quick then.
And by the way, you got to ask the music question. The pump me up music is what you usually ask.
Well, that'll be my second question.
Okay.
My first question is, let's go full circle here. That Christmas, you get this cameo, you get Swiftie tickets. What did your siblings get for Christmas? And did they just stare at everything that you were, raking in and be like, what the hell?
Well, my sister is also a big Swiftie. So I think, did Shane get like an amp or?
I don't even remember.
It wasn't a cameo. Let's just.
It was not.
They got some nice rugby balls.
By the way, before JB asked you the music question, I have to ask you, how did People Magazine pick up this story? Because it's a great story, but how does a big publication like that be like, let's do this?
The friend that I was talking about, that has the reality TV group, and she does a podcast as well. So she's kind of in that like sphere. She lives up in LA, and so she saw it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to get this out." So I don't know. I think she tagged People in the post, or maybe she is friends with one of the senior editors at People and brought it to his attention. And they were immediately like, yes, this is awesome. We'd love to interview you and whatever. So it was my friend that, who's kind of in celebrity PR type
That's
stuff.
Awesome.
So is she coming to the next practice? When's Ilona going to be back out?
Well, I'm like going to plug this. We have like a fundraiser at school, like a chili cook-off. And I'm like, ooh, we're doing Olympics themes. I'm like, we're going to have the girls come and be
Do
the guest
you like
judges.
chili, Ilona?
I feel like she would love that, to be the chili judge. But actually, the other girl who came to, the other woman who came to our practice from the national team, she made the 2 previous Olympics, didn't make the team this year, but we were looking for a head coach for our girls' high school last season. And her nephew plays on our boys' team. And so we just said, hey, will you coach the girls? And she was like, sure. Yeah.
She's doing it next year too.
So
Whoa.
she was on the resident athlete down at the Olympic Training Center. So our girls' high school team got coached by 2-time Olympian Eagle. Like, it's, again, just how awesome these women on the team are. Like, they're.
My last question, I promise, but it's the same question to both of you from a different perspective. So, Mom, you've been through this. Ashley, you've been through it with your daughters. You're still going through it, right? Advice to other parents that are parenting that whole, weird adjustment to finding out what our bodies really can do and under social pressure. And then you too, Georgia. I mean, you won't know this yet, but you have little girls that'll be looking up to, whether you are 9 or 11 now, or you're 13 and telling this story. What would your messages be to mothers and daughters going through dealing with the fact that nobody's body is exactly like yours?
Well, yeah, sure. No matter like if you play sports, if you don't, if you are a dancer, or if you have any other hobbies, like, of course, those hobbies that you like adopt, or you're good at them if you like decide to do them like full stop. So you need to recognize that like you can do those things and like you can do them good. And you need to be like more like proud of your body and like proud of what you can do, whether it's like dancing or basketball or track or even just like music. Like
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. Like you can do something and you're special.
Love that. Mom?
For me, I think the kids are always watching. They're listening to what you say. They are listening.
Guilty.
So, and they're watching what you do. So you have to watch how you talk about yourself and other, so if I'm looking in the mirror going, you got to shut that down because they're sponges and they're always looking. So we really try to, instead of, I want to lose 5 pounds, it's, I want to get this sprint this much faster, or, I want to lift this much heavier, so it's non-scale terms is what kind of we call it. So that would be the only thing.
All right, Georgia, last question, and then we're going to let you get back to your day.
In Oceanside, where I wish I was right now.
Right. Well, look at our window.
It is nice today, but yeah.
All right, Georgia, it's game day. You're in the locker room. You're the leader of the pack. You're the beast. You have control of the Bluetooth. What are you playing to get your mates pumped up?
Yeah, come on, Beast Beauty Brains. What is it?
100% we're going to listen to Thunderstruck because our team name is
he's so happy right now.
AC/DC. Classic.
You cue that up.
Rock.
You got to cue that up to go up. Okay, hold it. That's what. While he's queuing that up, we always play intro music and outro music, and occasionally music just pops in. Why do you like that song? I mean, that's well before your time, my friend.
Because our team, it's Thunder.
She's throwing me Thunder. There you go. Do you guys play that as your as you're training to like psych out the other team too, or is it just internal?
Well, we might not be trying to psych out the other team, but like,
yeah, they are.
I mean, what can I say? We're just good like that.
Hey, there's fewer bands in the world ever that scared more people than AC/DC, so you chose wisely.
100%.
You guys, thank you so much for being on. I love your story, and you don't know it yet. I'm sure Mom does, but Georgia, you've already become a mini Ilona Maher in pushing body positivity. Thank you guys so much for being on Soccer Mom Sunday.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
And it's just us.
Okay.
Little Thunderstruck.
Text her. I love it. That's awesome.
Did you have fun with that one?
I did. It's hard to do in-person interviews is always better, but I love when you have a great message, you can connect over Google Meets. It doesn't matter wherever they are. And it's just, I hope a lot of people get a lot out of this. I thought I had come a long way from my own journey as a young girl till now. But I've learned a few more things where I'm like, I could do that better. So that Harper and Marin and frankly their brothers too see their bodies in more of what is it capable of versus what does it happen to look like on the day.
So you're saying the eyelid ice roller you're going to do in private from now on?
Yeah, all the things. I need to lock that up and hide those in a drawer. All the anti-aging and all the anti-things.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Why are you still in the bathroom? I'm aging.
Aging ungracefully.
Right.
Did you like this one? I mean, that's a little bit out of your maybe purview. I'm not sure with boys.
No. I think it's one of those things. Again, I live a fairly isolated life in regards to so many of these issues because I have 3 boys, right? And I have a boy mom as my partner, and having myself growing up with
she's
2
a
brothers,
badass.
I always wondered, why is my mom not like feminine, right? She was never feminine, or she was just beating our asses.
She's just dealing with all of you.
Yeah, so it's like, a lot of these things we hear vicariously, the stories through friends that have daughters in particular, and all the other things that go along with it outside of the sports and body imagery. It's just, you got a lot. You got a lot on your hands there.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. And just it's how I don't know if anybody was like this for you or maybe for the boys, but beyond the game, right? Which is a cool thing to idolize somebody for when they have also a great message, for just a great human message. You can't beat that.
No, I think my overall takeaway was, and it's kind of like extrapolated from what I know about Ilona, and then obviously Georgia and Ashley's own stories. It's like just be a good person, just own it and go be a badass.
And doesn't
and everything else falls authenticity.
Authenticity wins every time, and just whether again Ilona Maher is being a little bit sarcastic about some shitty comment she got, or the next time she's posting, she's got tears in her eyes because it freaking hurt. To see our kids see authenticity like that and admire that, in an age where we all grew up, where things were more groomed and careful, maybe, or should been presented in that way.
Yeah.
I think authenticity wins every time. Love it. Body positivity, man.
Like,
review, follow, share, and comment. Good stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Or send the negative comments to JB. He loves them.
I love those too because I will reply.
You will.
Until next time.
Thanks for following Soccer Mom Sunday. See you on the next one.